Welcome to the State Capitol building in Frankfort, Kentucky. Isn't it beautiful? Well, the massive building you see behind me isn't Kentucky's original Capitol. The first two burned, and the third, now known as the Old Capitol, stands in the original public square. When you visit the Old Capitol today, you'll see a beautifully restored Greek Revival building. But back in 1869, the building was so overcrowded and decaying, it was considered unsafe. So the Kentucky legislature decided the state needed a new capital. An argument quickly broke out between the cities of Louisville, Lexington, and Frankfort about where the new capital should be located. Frankfort won, and in 1904, the legislature voted to spend $1 million to construct a new Capitol building. For the design, they chose architect Frank Mills Andrews. Because Andrews' design was too big to fit at the site of the old Capitol building, a bigger property was purchased on the other side of town. The final cost to build the Capitol was around $1.8 million, which would be over $1 billion today. Modern construction machinery didn't exist when the Capitol was built. The heavy stone slabs and blocks were hoisted into place with ropes, pulleys, counterbalance cranes, and the sheer muscle of humans and horses. It must have been a lot of work. Augustus Wilson was the first governor to occupy the governor's office in the new Capitol when the building was completed in 1910. The building was designed in the French Beaux-Arts style, which uses features from Greek and Roman architecture. Ornate columns, sculptures, and entryways topped with triangular gables called pediments are typical in this style. The pediment over the Capitol's entrance is decorated by figures with a woman in the center representing Kentucky. Surrounding her are figures symbolizing progress, agriculture, and the law. Now, let's go inside and take a closer look. Here in the rotunda, we're surrounded by gleaming marble and granite and larger-than-life statues of President Abraham Lincoln, statesman Henry Clay, and others. Huge granite columns invite you to look above to a majestic dome. New LED lighting was installed in the dome for the Capitol's 100th anniversary in 2010. 4 murals were added to the base. They represent Kentucky's industry, nature, culture, and community. On the east and west wings of the building, there are half-moon murals featuring explorer Daniel Boone. So why build this magnificent structure? What goes on here? Well, to answer that, first let's catch up on some history. Kentucky formally applied for statehood in 1789 and officially became the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the 15th state, on June 1st, 1792, with Isaac Shelby serving as its first governor. The Capitol is the seat of government for the state of Kentucky, where laws are proposed, debated, and enacted. Kentucky's Constitution describes a government with 3 branches, modeled after the federal government: the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. The executive branch is made up of the governor, lieutenant governor, and the cabinet. The governor is sort of like the president of Kentucky, with responsibilities that include managing the state budget, appointing state officials, and approving and vetoing laws. The governor works with Kentucky's citizens and the legislative branch. The offices of the governor and the executive staff are on the first floor of the Capitol. The judicial branch is made up of 4 levels of courts, starting at the county level with district courts, all the way up to the Kentucky Supreme Court. There are 7 judges who sit on the Kentucky Supreme Court, called justices. The Kentucky Supreme Court, State Law Library, and State Reception Room are all located on the 2nd floor of the Capitol. The Supreme Court is one of the most dignified spaces in the Capitol. It has mahogany paneling and a ceiling covered with hand-hammered metal. The State Law Library houses a large collection of legal materials and historical documents that are used for research. The State Reception Room was designed to host ceremonial events. The room has many beautiful features, but the most noticeable are the cut crystal chandeliers. Influenced by the Hall of Mirrors in the Palace of Versailles in France, the mirrors at either end of the room create an illusion of infinity. Now we'll take the lavish grand staircase to the 3rd floor, where the Kentucky Senate and House of Representatives are located. These stairs were designed to mimic those in the Opera Garnier in Paris, France. The legislative branch is bicameral, which means it consists of two separate assemblies, the Senate and the House of Representatives. The legislative branch creates laws, oversees the state budget, and levies taxes. The chambers of the House and Senate face each other on opposite ends of the beautiful building. First, let's look at the Senate on the west end with its imitation marble columns and mahogany wood trim. There are desks for 38 senators and raised galleries to allow the public to watch the Senate deliberate. The House of Representatives is located on the east end of the building. This room also has spectator galleries and desks, in this case for 100 members. As we near the end of our tour, let's travel back down the magnificent staircase to the first floor. We're walking through the tunnel under the street to the Capitol Annex building. The Capitol Annex building was completed in 1950. Here you'll find the General Assembly offices and committee rooms. Now let's go back outside to take it all in before we leave. The lush landscape surrounding the Capitol was designed by the Olmsted brothers. Their father, Frederick Law Olmsted, designed Central Park in New York and Louisville's park system. There were originally no plans for a parking lot because, at the time, it was believed that cars were just a fad. Oops. So the parking lots were added later. The 34-foot-wide state floral clock was built in 1961 under Governor Burt Combs and weighs 100 tons. Each hand on the clock weighs about 500 pounds. It is suspended over a pool of water that is frequently used by visitors as a wishing well. The money collected from the fountain is used for scholarships. As we wrap up our tour of the Capitol here in Frankfort, remember what goes on under this dome affects the lives of all Kentuckians. And each Kentuckian has a say in what happens here. We hope one day you'll be able to visit here in person. In the meantime, we're glad you could join us for this look at Kentucky's beautiful and historic Capitol.